where the Queen was head of state, in the Commonwealth and across the world, a deep sense of gratitude for the more than 70 years in which my mother, as Queen, served the people of so many nations. In 1947, on her 21st birthday, she pledged in a broadcast from Cape Town to the Commonwealth to devote her life, whether it be short or long, to the service of her peoples. That was more than a promise. It was a profound personal commitment which defined her whole life. She made sacrifices for duty. Her dedication and devotion as sovereign never wavered through times of change and progress.
There is no doubt that Britain is under immense strain, and it appears even the King has lost patience. Following a stunning victory for Nigel Farage's Reform UK in the 2025 local elections, Prime Minister Keir Starmer launched a sweeping crackdown on dissent.
We've set out the roadmap for farming, which has been welcomed by farmers. And many thousands of farms have benefited from the farming schemes. But she talks about prices. Wages are going up higher than prices. That's the first in a long time that's happened.
But the move has backfired spectacularly, triggering a series of events that have sent shockwaves throughout the nation that are in an extraordinary tone. The government has ordered the arrest of dozens of farmers, protesters, and even ordinary citizens simply for voicing opposition to Labour Party policies. What may sound like dystopian fiction is in fact Britain in 2025, a country where citizens are being detained for losing faith in their government. According to sources close to Buckingham Palace, King Charles said, "Lost it." The monarch reportedly erupted in anger upon learning that peaceful farmers and voters had been forcibly removed from protest sites.
Farming is a family affair for Steve Ridsdale. He lives on this 260-acre farm in East Yorkshire with his wife and son. It's owned by his 81-year-old father, Terry. When he passes the farm on, the changes to agricultural relief means that Steve will face an inheritance tax bill of up to £600,000.
We've got 10 years to pay that tax, but if the farm doesn't make enough margin to pay the tax, so we would have to sell. I'm not sleeping. I feel like I've worked all my life and everything I've ever earned is going to have to go on tax because of my dad's age and because we're unlikely to be able to get life insurance for him. And if we can get life insurance, the premium will be horrendous.
The farm's been in the family for generations, but now owner Terry Ridsdale fears for its future.
We came here in 1960 and it's been our lifetime looking after stock, our own cattle and now these bed and breakfast ones. And working the land. It could all go now with this new budget. It's a nice life, really, that's working outside all the time. But will the younger generation want to continue? My grandchildren? Doubtful.
Along with working on the farm, Steve's the chair of the British Farming Union. He says farmers will take action if the government doesn't rethink changes to inheritance tax.
Some of them are saying, well, we're going to have to push back at this and we're not going to cooperate. And they're starting to say, well, are we going to take the sewage sludge? Something like 85% of all the sewage solids go back to farmland. So farmers are saying, well, if you're not going to help us.
Some were allegedly detained for no more than speaking out at local meetings. The crisis was sparked by the Starmer's government's controversial new inheritance tax on agricultural land, a measure that has devastated family-run farms handed down through generations. Many such families have been forced to sell ancestral land simply to pay the tax bill. The policy has ignited an unprecedented wave of rural unrest. Mass protests broke out across Kent, Lincolnshire and Tyneside. Tractor convoys blocked roads, livestock markets were cancelled and fields were converted into makeshift protest camps as thousands demanded to be heard.
It's a disgrace, an absolute disgrace, that this man stood in the NFU conference and said he was going to protect family farms. That's what he said. That's what he said. And I'll tell you, we in Wales have had 25 years of labour as a farmer. We're on our knees. That's why we're out protesting. That's why we're out in them docks. And when people ask you that question, you tell them, we fed this country affordably, seasonally and healthily since day dot. These buildings and these people wouldn't be here without us. They destroyed everything. Do not let them destroy our industry. We're proud, we're hard-working, and we pay our taxes, and we have done across the board. They don't understand that people are not making a profit. Stop paying the taxes. We are not going to pay the inheritance tax. Listen to the people before you go cold and hungry, and it will happen. Food inflation, food shortages, and the poorer people in society will suffer. And that's why when we go home tonight, we'll go back to working hard, to making sure there's food on them shelves.
But rather than engaging in dialogue, the government responded with police deployments to suppress the demonstrations. The situation quickly escalated. More than 300 people were arrested, most of whom remain uncharged. Social media was flooded with distressing images of crying mothers, elderly farmers and working-class youth being dragged away in handcuffs. The outrage has spread beyond the farming community. Several voters who confronted Labour MPs over tax hikes, benefit cuts and soaring energy prices were allegedly removed from town hall meetings and detained under new public security laws.
Obviously to look at a new development, a very exciting development just outside Milton Keynes, which is going to be homes for very many people. And yes, there was a protest there. And to some extent, that draws out quite an important discussion that we have to have as a country. Because we passed a budget in the autumn of last year that had to do two things. The first was to stabilise and balance the books, the economy. And the second was to invest in things like our NHS and in housing. And we're seeing some early figures that are welcome. Obviously, the interest rates were cut for the third time since we've been in government last week. We've had growth figures today coming out showing growth in the economy, small but important steps. And of course, that means that mortgages will go down and also NHS figures.
Now, the question is, what kind of government arrests its citizens for expressing dissent? A government that has run out of answers, but if reports from within the palace are accurate, King Charles may no longer be willing to remain silent.
God does not burden any soul with more than it can bear. We hope that you have a blessed and fulfilling Ramadan. Peace be upon you all. Ramadan Mubarak. As Muslims across the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth observe the beginning of the holiest of months in the Islamic calendar, the month of Ramadan, I just wanted to convey my heartfelt best wishes to you all and to tell you just how much my wife and I are thinking of you at this special time of year. This would have been a joyous time. Mosques would be filling with life. Muslim families would be coming together to share food and prayers. And many of them would be inviting their neighbours and friends of all faiths and none to join them. My wife and I can only offer you all our kindest and most special wishes and stress just how greatly the contribution of Muslims to the life of the United Kingdom is appreciated and valued, embodying the Ramadan spirit of charity and selflessness. As the Quran says, God does not burden any soul with more than it can bear. We hope that you have a blessed and fulfilling Ramadan. Peace be upon you all.
Known for his calm and diplomatic manner, he was reportedly enraged after viewing footage of a disabled veteran being removed by police during a protest in Yorkshire. In a private meeting with senior advisers, His Majesty is said to have slammed his hand on the table and declared, "This is not the country my mother left behind. This is authoritarianism dressed up as progress. Shortly afterward, in a private phone call to Prime Minister Starmer, the King reportedly issued a stern warning. "You are testing the patience of this nation and that of the Crown itself. When even the monarch feels compelled to speak out, it signals a crisis that has gone too far." Still, Starmer has not relented. On the contrary, he has doubled down, tightened protest laws, expanded digital surveillance, and issued vague statements about new restrictions on political speech. Many now fear such measures may be used to target Reform UK, the rapidly rising political force. What Starmer has yet to grasp is that this is no longer the 1980s. The public is no longer passively obedient. Thanks to Nigel Farage and the meteoric rise of Reform UK, millions of Britons now recognise the betrayal of a two-party system that has grown arrogant, disconnected and increasingly repressive when challenged. This Reform UK's victories across 10 local councils, including former Labour strongholds, were no accident. The triumph in Runcorn and Helsby, where voters rejected both Labour and the Conservatives, was a resounding call for a new path. Labour's response unmasks its true character, that a party once championing the working class is now overseeing their arrests. A government once pledging to protect the vulnerable is now slashing benefits with clinical detachment while raising taxes on modest owners. Its energy policy has become a disaster, more about political posturing than practicality, undermining domestic oil and gas, inflating bills, and leaving thousands facing a cold, impoverished winter. When ordinary citizens protest, they are labelled agitators. When farmers speak up, they are accused of tax evasion. When someone dares to question policy, they are branded far right. But the public sees through the facade. Keir Starmer may believe he still holds control, but he has only revealed his greatest vulnerability. The tighter his grip, the stronger the backlash. And Nigel Farage has seized the moment to address the public outside Parliament. Farage declared that the arrests of peaceful farmers and voters are a stain on our democracy. He vowed Reform UK would restore the voice of the people and dismantle the bureaucratic machine Labour now controls. His message is spreading like wildfire from rural villages to industrial towns. From wage earners to small business owners, they are not rallying behind ideology, but against a system that no longer represents them. Some sources suggest King Charles is now quietly exploring constitutional options should the unrest intensify. Though his formal powers are limited, a single public rebuke from the Crown will be unprecedented and could seriously undermine Starmer's position. The truth is this: you cannot govern a nation by treating its people as criminals. You cannot arrest farmers, silence pensioners, suppress opposition and expect the public, the press or the monarchy to remain silent. You cannot stifle dissent and still demand loyalty. Keir Starmer mistook Labour's victory for a blank cheque to rule. In reality, it's a magnifying glass. The entire country is now watching closely as the cracks widen by the hour. The uprising has begun. The people are no longer silent, and now even the King has drawn a line in the sand. The real question isn't whether Starmer will cross it. It's how soon and when he does. What will Britain look like on the other side? In her victory speech, Andrea Jenkyns didn't hold back. She tore into her opponents, accusing them of running a smear campaign filled with dirty tricks and personal attacks. Jenkyns alleged that the Conservatives had pressured police to interfere in her campaign while rivals spread nasty rumours about her private life, even suggesting she had an inappropriate relationship with a political associate. She wasn't done. Jenkyns called out one rival candidate who had criticised her for not being local, pointing out the irony of someone with a South African accent questioning her roots. Only seen as a rising star among the Conservative right wing, Jenkyns made it clear she's now charting a very different course. The newly elected MP slammed the government's immigration policies, attacking the use of taxpayer money to house migrants in hotels. Instead, she advocated for temporary camps, a model similar to France's approach, as a more sustainable solution.